Oh, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday, the market was falling. Everyone was calling for much, much lower prices, and then it reversed and everything turned green and everybody's excited again. So today I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano and see if we can get some information as to what to expect this week. Stay tuned. What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Streets, and once again, we are going to take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano today. But first, I have to ask you to subscribe to my channel and go ahead and hit that like button. As I mentioned before, everyone was in a panic this weekend that the market was going to drop, but we have seen a nice reversal. In fact, Saturday night, not kidding, I had a dream that Bitcoin dropped 75% in one candle. I woke up in a complete panic. So what did I do? I checked the chart, price was around 43,500, and I bought more Bitcoin. The reason is because I rarely have an emotional reaction, whether conscious or subconscious, to markets, and I know myself. And if my dreams are telling me that Bitcoin's going to drop and I'm starting to question whether I should be buying or selling, I'm going to go ahead and buy. And that really was right around the dead bottom. I've been buying Bitcoin all week for a cost basis on the buys here of about $46,000. My overall cost basis on Bitcoin is still well below $10,000. But let's take a look at the charts and see what information we can find. First, we have the Bitcoin monthly chart. What's really interesting and important to note is that we talk about monthly candles all the time, but you cannot judge them until they are closed. So what a candle looks like 2 weeks into the month is completely irrelevant. So what we ended up with was a pretty decent close here. As you can see, it does have an upwick, which indicates some selling, but generally this is a very bullish monthly chart. Nothing to panic about here, in my opinion. This channel was tested at the bottom here. The EQ, which is this dashed line, equilibrium, the 50% retracement level of this ascending channel, was flipped to support here. I talked about this quite a bit, and we've seen 2 candles pop above it, and now we're trading comfortably in the top half of this range. That should theoretically give us targets at the top of the range, which, depending on when it hits, will be into multiple 6 figures. Now let's take a look at the weekly chart, because this weekly candle had people in a panic. As you can see, Bitcoin clearly topped here and had a major bearish engulfing candle, completely engulfing the body of the candle before it, and closed really far down and very large. So is that something to be worried about? Well, it means that we should be exercising caution, but in and of itself, it's not something to panic about. A bad candle has to be confirmed with another bad candle afterwards. No single candle really gives us much information until we see what happens immediately after this. Now we're only a day into the week, but you can see that this candle thus far is green. But if we do break through support here on the next weekly candle and have another red or blue, in my case, candle to follow, that could be a signal that we're seeing more of a downtrend. But for now, I see very little to be concerned about here on the weekly chart. Something else important to note, everybody I saw on Twitter was looking at the 42,000 area. That would have been a test of the recent resistance as support. That was the all-time high before we had a few weeks of consolidation. Then we had the Tesla massive candle that pumped through. So people are generally expecting a retest of that area as support, which would not be a surprise at all. But what did I say? I said on Twitter, usually when you have an area that everyone's watching, either it gets front run, meaning that people buy slightly above, the whales buy slightly above that level, so it never gets there, or you see price dump right through it and people buy much lower. But the crowd rarely gets the level that they're looking for. And as you can see, price dropped to around 43,000, front running that area for now with people filling their bids. Let's take a look at the daily chart. We still have this macro bull flag that never hit its target up around 63,500. Ultimately, I do expect to see that happen. Also, you can see we had this sort of hammer candle here with the long wick down. We actually had quite a few long wicks down, which indicates there was lots of buying even into these candles, right? This body here, we would prefer to see that to be green or gray in my case, but still, this could be a reversal candle, especially when you see a big candle following through. If we see this candle close big and gray like this, engulfing the previous 3 candles, that would be very bullish. We also obviously would love to see it trading above this resistance, which is at 48,690. Now zooming into the 4-hour chart, we can see that we had this descending wedge that started at the top around 58,000, and we have a clean breakthrough of that area. That's very bullish. So right now it looks like this could potentially be a reversal. And let's talk about what signals we had to show us that might happen. Let's look at the 4-hour chart with RSI on a line chart. I like to use a line chart when I'm searching for divs because it eliminates all the noise and wicks of a candle chart and just shows you the closes. As you can see, bullish divergence, pop, hidden bearish divergence, down. Bullish divergence pop, hidden bearish divergence down, and ultimately a much bigger bullish divergence coming out of oversold RSI. Huge signal for me of a reversal. That was another reason that I was buying yesterday. People were in a panic. They were saying these were failing, but I kept saying remain calm. They almost always play out. As you can see, we have the descending wedge, breakout above, and on the 6-hour chart here, we have yet another large bullish divergence. So that is the gist for me for Bitcoin. I would like to really see follow through in the next week and avoid another red candle as I discussed before. But for now, this really does look like it could be a reversal. I think we want to get back into the 51, 52, 53,000 to really confirm. But for now, I think it looks good. Always be open to the possibility that this could just be a reactionary bounce and we could see further downside. But for now, that's not immediately on my mind. That can change anytime. If you're smart and you do technical analysis and you're presented with new information, you sometimes change your bias. Now let's dig into Ethereum and take a look at the monthly chart really quick. As you can see, sort of the same lesson I was saying before, we have an ugly candle here on the monthly, potentially a shooting star. We're at the top. It has a long wick up, was rejected, and has a small body. Right below resistance too. This resistance being 1419.96, which was the previous all-time high. But like I said, that candle does not matter unless you get another bad candle after it. And we have to wait a month to see if that happens. So that is not even on my radar at the moment. Digging into the weekly, I said this on Twitter that this may be the easiest trade looking back that people were way too scared to take. People were saying that Ethereum was going to zero. It's useless. Gas fees are too high. All the things that let you know that you're potentially near a bottom. I literally saw people saying Ethereum was going to zero. As you can see on the weekly, this looks like a beautiful flip of this resistance from the previous all-time high to support. That's exactly what you want to see for a bullish move on a coin. So I'm not concerned about Ethereum at all. In fact, I think if you caught it at 1420 or so below, you're going to probably be very, very happy. But we're going to have to see how, once again, this week concludes after that down weekly candle. Looking at Ethereum on the Bitcoin pair, you can see we have this macro resistance. If you're trading it on the Bitcoin pair, I would wait for a break of this line personally, potentially a retest as support for a move up. We have this much more local little resistance that was just broken and retested as support. If you're looking for Ethereum to beat Bitcoin, we want to see it breaking resistance. It's effectively at resistance now. So breaking through here and testing. And the talk of the crypto community has been Cardano. I'm not going to get into the fundamental arguments about it. I just want to take a very quick look at the chart. As you can see on the weekly on Cardano, we've had extremely increasing volume and candle spread on the way up, smashing the previous all-time high that was around 38-39 cents. And now we're kind of hanging out up here. It's very hard to figure out where this will likely go next based on the weekly chart. And looking at this, we had a double bottom that was confirmed here at the blue line, and price popped up from there. For now, to me, this looks like a tough time to buy just because price has moved so much, and I prefer to buy the dip on something that looks generally bullish. But let's zoom into other time frames. There's nothing particularly bearish about this chart, to be clear. Zooming in here to the daily chart, we can see what I was talking about. This move looks a bit exhausted. RSI reached all the way up to over 90 right here. And since then, we've had bearish divergence with RSI, meaning that price is making higher highs while RSI is making lower highs. That's an indication that buyers are exhausted and sellers are taking control. We did have hidden bullish divergence here, right? Which cancels out effectively the first part of the bear div. But then following that, you have another bearish divergence that would be here, and that confirms a potential move lower. So right now, again, I would not be too eager to touch ADA on the USDT pair. Let's take a look at it on the Bitcoin pair. Here's the weekly chart of ADA versus Bitcoin. As you can see, we drew these two areas of resistance and said, hey, if you get a retest of these, potentially you consider an entry. That said, this is selling off pretty hard after a bearish SFP through this swing high here. right now I would potentially personally wait a little while to sort of see what happens here on the weekly chart. But if you are looking for an entry on ADA on the Bitcoin pair, this theoretically is a retest of resistance as support, and I could totally see someone taking that. Now we have a little bit of news about the markets, not too much. I just want to note that it always feels good to be in confluence with Michael Saylor, who was also buying the dip when I was. MicroStrategy has purchased an additional 328 Bitcoins for $15 million in cash, an average price of $45,710 per Bitcoin. He just bought $1 billion worth of 52,000 last week. This is $15 million. It's a drop in the bucket, but it's always nice to note that he's committed and will continue to buy the dip. We also have Citi saying that Bitcoin is at a tipping point. It's nice to be on the radar of these companies. They said that Bitcoin is at a tipping point and could either become the preferred currency for international trade or face a speculative implosion. I don't think that Bitcoin is going to become the preferred currency for international trade. I think we have stable coins for that. I think that we will see central bank digital currencies. I think that the Bitcoin narrative is much better for gold and that they're missing the mark here. I really think that Bitcoin has now become a store of value and very few people are looking to use it on a daily basis to send money across borders. But it's still interesting to note that Citibank is talking about it and that they believe that we really are at the tipping point where we could see mass adoption on a large level. Once again, everybody, thank you for watching this video. I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Streets. Please subscribe, hit that like button, check out my sponsor Femex in the comments, and sign up for my newsletter. You can find out basically everything you need to know about me in the description. I'll see you guys later, and thanks for tuning in.